Rare EU win. Yeah. We're gonna watch this video. This will destroy us. Oh no! What is the CEO with $1 billion gonna do? He can't buy his second yacht because EU is outlawing microtransactions. Any EU gamers?
Well, the EU are up to regulatory shenanigans again. The question is, will this be good for us or will it be bad for us? And with that in mind, here's a quote. Let's not kill one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of Supercell, and its latest shot in a war that has been silently raging since—
Aren't they the ones that made Farmville and Clash of Clans? I'm pretty sure, right?
April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions in gaming. And now, after a summer of adjustment, the industry is speaking out. Now, obviously in one way, that's all kind of hilarious, and we do sort of think, yeah, you've rammed our games full of this bullshit.
Oh my god.
This felt fairly
You know what really fucking pisses me off about this whole thing is if you were just transparent and said like, oh, this costs $2.99, oh, this costs $4.99, like dollars. Instead of all this like, oh, well, this is 3 ambers, and then this amber is different from this one, and then this diamond is like actually the premium currency. I hate this shit. I hate it so much. I hate it with a passion.
It's probably good that someone is getting—
But you know why they do that? Because then people don't figure out how much it actually costs, and they just swipe their fucking, their dollar their wallet.
Involved. Big picture, that is what I think. That being said, a lot of people in the industry are saying that this will ruin everything that they've built. I mean, just look at what the Supercell dude said. Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these regulations would worsen the player experience.
This guy really doesn't want to give up his fucking third McMansion, huh? Guys, it's really bad. It means that it's bad for me because I get less money.
And also wouldn't improve protections. And that certainly is a bit that I'm at least interested in. They also say that this would cause widespread collateral damage to one of EU's biggest tech success stories. So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely right. There's definitely stuff for us to talk about, and this one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff and trade negotiations affecting everything from Switch 2 pricing to gaming privacy laws, and that means you need a full picture. And that's where ground news comes in. It's where I go to cut through the clickbait and to understand what's happening. They're today's video sponsor.
Nuts.
And here's the story of the EU pushing back against Trump's tech regulation
threats. Which one
threats.
of you guys have been buying the Switch 2, bro?
Sources here covering it, but a striking 63% on the left, 29% in the center, and only 8% on the right.
Whoa.
That's an imbalance
That's
that
a
put
lot.
it straight into Ground News' blind spot feed. And the headline comparison is kind of fascinating here. You've got Le Monde, a left-leaning and rated very high factuality outlet, running EU defends its digital rules as sovereign right after Trump's tariff threat. Another outlet, Americans for Tax Reform, who are right-leaning with mixed factuality rating, flips it, saying Trump slams EU digital regulations as discriminatory attack on US giants. So you see the same diplomatic clashes, but opposite heroes and villains. And just those factualities alone show you where you are or are not seeing spin. So ground actually means what you see is reliable. And when only 8% of right-leaning outlets are touching a major piece of US-EU tech news, yeah, you're kind of missing how this is playing politically. Now, I get all of this with Ground News' Vantage Plan. It gives you bias ratings from 3 independent agencies, side-by-side headline comparisons, and with, say, their tech interest page, you can just see all the tech stories from all the angles. And if you go to ground.news/Baldur, you'll get 40% off unlimited access with the Vantage Plan. That's the plan that I use, and that is the best deal of the year for my subs for limited time. So, if you want to check it out,
you like Ground News?
Yeah, here's a fun fact to get us going. This was kind of kicked off by a Swedish horse girl game. Yeah, so here we go.
No. Before that, no. Before that, Habbo Hotel and all that crap too. Habbo Hotel had premium currency, and that's like older than this.
Let's get into the story. The autumn legislative sessions are starting, and we're right at the end of the consultation period for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital format? Maybe this act is for you. Now, what it is an overarching EU legislative agenda that covers loads of tech fields and where they intersect with consumer protections. Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design.
Yeah, the deceptive interface design that's designed to milk your fucking wallet. The multiple currencies and they all don't like interconnect with each other, and it doesn't tell you 24% off, 100 million% value. Totally not made to confuse you.
Well, there's all sorts of shady shit that they do. Manipulative elements, addictive
League
elements,
of Legends?
unfair
No way.
personalization
They're
practices.
predatory?
You might think, I love things to be personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit you really wanting that next upgrade and is giving you a targeted deal that probably has 900% value or some made up
900% value. What's the Diablo 4 meme? Not Diablo 4, Diablo Mobile. You guys know what I'm talking about? Diablo 4, 900% value deal. It's like something Asmon brought up a while ago. It's so funny. No, I can't find it. But like, anyway, imagine it's like 9,000% deal. If you don't buy this, you're a fucking retard.
Bullshit like that.
Yeah,
now,
Diablo Immortal.
It's especially concerned where it hits consumer vulnerabilities and where people can be exploited. Now, you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Swedish Horse Girl game. So that's when the EU took on microtransactions. And what happened is that the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new key principles. And this all came as a part of a case made against the Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now, what we're talking about today, the Digital Fairness Act and its consultation period, it is building on those principles from the whole horse game saga. Now, what that means is new systems requiring real monetary value on listings, not just, made up
They're not gonna like that. They're gonna be like, oh shit, this is £5. I could go buy a Big Mac instead of buying this crap. That's why they're gonna be so upset.
Bullshit. Removing multiple currency options, ensuring refunds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a gem. Crazy stuff. And also ending a lot of the
Riot will not like that because all of their stuff, like if you buy a skin right now, it puts like a non-refundable tick on it that you have to tick off before you buy it. Yeah.
Homo practices. And especially because these things were often targeted toward kids, but also they would apply to everyone because games would need to implement them across the board. Now at the time, the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money from all of the things that I just listed that feel sketchy. And they framed these as new legal theories, as a disruption.
God, I hate lawyers.
Games pulled from the EU if those games couldn't comply. Think about the poor monetization designers, guys.
No.
But where things left off is
all those people that make up monetization decisions and make up prices for digital goods that have no inherent value. Think of their children, chat.
The CPC was supposed to work with them, work with the industry to help implement everything.
How awful.
But,
they're going to go hungry.
Later,
no more McDonald's for them.
The industry mood has not improved, and they are quite worried. That open letter from the Supercell CEO, and by the way, Supercell are the Clash of Clans people, so
Farmville.
Some top-tier creative gaming content. That's just one of several press efforts that we've seen in recent weeks. But it's the most striking one from a senior figure. Basically, he says that he doesn't want the EU's €27 billion industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines that came in March of this year. And he argues that they will, quote, break how many games fundamentally work.
How would it break the game? Explain to me how putting a price tag on currency breaks the game. You mean people will be less inclined to spend £5 or €5 on a fucking digital good that doesn't have any inherent value to it? Are we fucking kidding right now? Dude, this guy is like a A-class like gaslighter. No! The people, they don't understand! It is gonna ruin player immersion!
They will harm the player experience, and
Oh
especially
my
will do this
God.
for free-to-play games.
What a
He uses a familiar
tragedy.
metaphor for how in-game currency works, but it's one that was okay per the legal framework before the new guidelines in April. And basically he talked about theme park tokens. The idea
Oh my god. You can... But if you go to a theme park, you're physically going somewhere. There's value to it. You can't have value on a fucking digital... You can't have value on a digital thing!
that a family can buy tokens in bulk, or they can buy tokens individually, or they can even win tokens in a theme park. And to him, this is all framed as, quote, convenient and fun, avoiding repeated cash transactions. You know, the idea you can buy loads of tokens at once. And he then contrasts this with the potential worst case under the new guidelines, where individual parental approval for each token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically harm the experience.
Basically, he's saying that because you go take a child to a theme park, every time you buy a token for them to like play a carnival game, he's arguing that's the same as when a kid asks you to buy a skin on League of Legends or trying to gamble a waifu on a video game. And that's the same thing, because it's like, oh, well, you don't have to sign a contract when you go to a carnival in real life, but here, you're trying to ruin the immersion and the experience. It's so cringe.
Basically, he's saying that regardless of purchase value, rides must display a real cost in euros based on a fixed standard.
Oh, poor
not,
thing.
a token cost. Now, when children win prizes...
Yeah, imagine you go to a carnival and then it says like, oh, do you want this hot dog? And it's like 3 tokens. And you're like, okay, why can't I just like buy it? And they're like, no, you have to go to the token guy and then get 3 tokens and come back to me and then you can get the hot dog. And I'm like, but I have the money right here. And they're like, no, you have to go over there and then come back to me. And it's like, what? That's why people don't do that kind of shit, man. And it's annoying. Every time I've gone to a venue when they have their own in custom currencies, I think that's super cringe. In real life, I mean.
They believe that those prizes are worth real money, despite obviously not being able to cash out. In his analogy, the visitors get frustrated and leave. Why? Well, because the experience isn't simpler or safer than what exists now. So, why change the token system? Well, his argument, he believes the existing frameworks can just be strengthened. You know, improve what we've got. Don't do a big new scary thing. Now, we will come back.
He doesn't provide a solution either. He just says, please don't do it.
How Supercell responds to those existing laws later on in this video. But going on, he suggests these new policies could result in companies choosing other monetization models. Things like more in-game advertising. And this feeling has actually got a lot of backing. Multiple large European game developers sent a letter to...
A lot of free games where there's like a premium edition and a non-premium edition, they make you like watch ads.
The EU. And I have to say, a massive thank you to one of our members, Neo Nebulosa, for helping us navigate the fun industrial nuances of the continent. Because for real, this shit's complicated. Now, what happened is that Euractiv saw the letter, and then industry-wide bodies like the European Game Developer Federation also got involved. And they're all very worried, and this is based on legal interpretations of current proposals and what they would mean for them, and of course also what they would mean for you. Let's go to the
Steam says no ads in games. Yeah, that's a good point. They're probably going to lose customers or like games off of Steam or other avenue platforms.
The issue. This fundamentally comes down to a fairly simple question, but it's one with significant legal ramifications, and it's this. Is in-game currency the same as real currency? Because if it's treated as such, as, quote, digital representations of value, then the companies trading in them face significantly more scrutiny. And if you're thinking about, say, I don't know, banking, crypto, and other things, yeah, you're kind of thinking along the right lines.
People get confused really easily when you don't put a $sign or like a value behind it that's a common denominator for people to refer to. Yeah. That's the intention though, obviously. I know I keep saying like, oh my god, why would they do this? Of course, there's a reason to it.
because effectively they would then be a little bit more like Bitcoin under the law. And to be clear, that is the position of the CPC. And therefore, it's inherent to the current consultation for the...
And I still think that Bitcoin doesn't really have like a value. It's just like something that people put a value to.
Digital Fairness Act, which is...
But you could also counter-argue that currency in the current day and age also has no inherent value, and that the only thing should be like a gold standard, which they got rid of a long time ago. It's kind of circling back to it, huh?
The big thing that would really change a lot. Now, the fundamental argument is that people are putting real money into these systems, and they are getting in return for their real money a digital representation of that money in the form of products, like, say, your gems or your Call of Duty points, whatever it may be. So, because of that, they should therefore have transparency and safety when they are spending.
Safety. Now, think of the children.
Are good, noble goals. But implementation could be a little tricky, and it would mean some humongous changes. Now, we can't just dismiss those things because we like the principles behind the changes. And for the avoidance of doubt, we here are very much behind those principles. And what the industry is putting forward really are based on worst case scenarios.
Ooh.
But that doesn't mean that they won't happen, and we should talk about it because it would impact the industry. Now, they already don't trust the EU elements implementing all of this, as flagged by George Osborne, well, that one, in his excellent video games industry memo newsletter back in April. His sources suggested to him something rather troubling, that before the new guidelines, the CPC did not engage with industry trade bodies, let alone get impact assessments. I know, impact assessments, it's real sexy stuff, but then again, we are dealing with, billions of euro and how the industry literally works. Now, that's part of why these bodies are emphasizing certain facts. Things like, only 18% of kids are allowed to make purchases.
That's what I'm saying. They keep saying, oh, it's for the safety of children and this and that, but like ultimately kids will steal people's credit cards to buy, Roblox currency or Clash of Clans so they can keep playing their mobile games. I got clubbed over the head if I tried to do that. Nowadays, it's kind of like more or less accepted, and that's really annoying to me. And that's why all these mobile games have become so successful, too.
95% get...
I remember asking my parents to buy, I think it was like Angry Birds on my phone, and they said absolutely fucking not. What track are you using? I'm using the Steam's VR headset. Yeah. Hi, Demi. Hi, what's up? Yeah, we're just watching a video on gambling. Well, not gambling, but like currencies and microtransactions. Kind of apt for you, Miss CSGO loot boxer.
Parental supervision, and the monthly spending has actually gone down year on year, which is at least a silver lining if you're not a fan of microtransactions.
Well, that's because people are getting poorer. No, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, no, like, is that because people can't really afford that kind of thing?
But basically, the industry is putting forward that they see all of this stuff as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And basically, that's why they've been so frustrated. Now, the CPC suggested that they would work with the industry after they did their big publication. And without direct leaks, we don't literally know what those discussions looked like over the summer. But based on current reactions, they did not go well. But more than that, apparently, the CPC also didn't work with other EU bodies. Yes, this is really getting all quite complex. People may wonder why, nothing ever gets done. Anyway, what it effectively means, the point the industry is trying to get across, right, is that this one group tried to set a new central philosophy on microtransactions, but they kind of did that without getting everyone else involved in the situation involved in what that would look like, which can get messy. Okay. For an example of said mess, we've got to say a big thanks to this pack of Lithuanian RuneScape gold farmers.
There's Lithuanians? I thought there was Venezuelans that farmed gold.
To put a very messy situation in very simple terms, in Lithuania, currency transfers are tax exempt. So because of this, the gold farmers thought that they would not have to pay value-added tax. But the Revenue Office disagreed. The Revenue Office believed that the gold farmers weren't trading a currency whenever they were doing their trades. So, yeah, they were like trading a product, and that would mean that they would need to get their value-added tax.
Dude, you're getting into philosophical and moral questionability of like how things should be taxed if it's digital currency. Oh my god!
Now, they needed clarity on the law.
Yeah, because it's not currency, it's product.
To the EU, and they went to a specific bit called
Taxing
the EU
gold for
Advocate General.
RuneScape.
And the result of that
Poor Lithuanian gold farmers, they already have it hard enough.
was a ruling by the EU Advocate General, and that is that in-game currency should be considered as a digital second-hand product, not as a currency in itself.
Smart.
Now, that's actually quite fun for today's story, because that's actually not how the guidelines from the CPC frame them.
So what you'd have to do is, if you're like a gold farmer, you need to launder money so that the tax people can't get you. Yo, any Lithuanian gold farmers in chat? You need to start laundering your money, clean it.
For the Digital Fairness Act proposals as well. And that just makes everything here so much messier, because different bits of the EU, different arms of it, are taking different opinions. Obviously, that makes it very hard to get anything goddamn done. And that's part of why the company seems so pissed off here. To them, the CPC
they're malding. Is it Ubisoft? Including France's Ubisoft and Poland's Reality Games? Uh-oh.
And the CPC wants compliance with their guidelines, even as another EU judiciary is suggesting another interpretation. So they're, in a way, saying, oh no,
God, I hate bureaucracy, man.
This is a nightmare, what do we do?
I fucking hate the feds, dude.
Honestly, in that case, yeah, they do have a point. It's like different arms of the same body are saying different things about basically the same issue. That's obviously chaos. Chaos that could get worse with the Digital Fairness Act being implemented next year. And that would mean that, well, everything that they work on, these companies that is, may now need to be changed again to comply with the new requirements. Which would be a good thing, going solely off the principles, what we're trying to protect and make better here. But, implementation is often the hard bit, and that is why the companies are very much worried. Oh boy, we're getting there. And one thing you may have noticed in this video is, it might all sound a little bit schizo. I mean, here I am in 1 second.
I don't think it's schizo. I think EU does have some good law implementation in terms of like stopping gambling, because that has gotten so out of control in America, for example. Do you guys see, if you live in America, do you see gambling ads everywhere? I do. I went to a Chinese restaurant and I remember I got my fortune cookie and it had Rainbat on the back, and a Rainbat ad on the back of the fortune. And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, I think there has to be a good balance between letting adults do what they want to do, and like not advertising to basically everyone under the sun in order to squeeze pennies out of everyone. I see gambling ads everywhere in Australia. I see gambling ads on Twitch. Yeah, all the time. All the fucking time. ESPN Bet. It's so easily accessible now. And even though states ban gambling outright, people still find a way.
And being very much, look at the things the Swedish Horse Girl game was doing. That's all pretty sketchy. Let's regulate some of this stuff so that, we don't have exploitative bullshit happening that's, aimed at teens and stuff. And then you'll also see me, talking about the industry's points. And to understand this story, I think we've just got to accept a very basic fact. Everyone involved is going to present their argument in the best light that they can.
Yeah.
The CPC will. The people at Supercell will. I will, you will, we'll pretty much always be trying to put our argument forward in the best way. And the upshot of that is everyone involved, from their perspective, will play up the risk and then downplay anything that will undermine them. And even if we return to the Supercell dude's letter, you can start to pick holes in some of the logic that he puts forward. If you're going to update his analogy to actually be—
I already saw the fucking statement. He literally says like, oh, it's gonna make the game worse. How is putting a label on money, on your in-game currency, a bad thing? Oh, it loses you money? It doesn't actually change the game or anything? That's crazy.
Accurate to the real industry.
Nothing happened. Nothing changed.
Well, then his theme parks would be having 3 or 4 or 5 different types of tokens. Just look at, what you see when you open a gacha game and you're just bombarded. And to undermine his points even more, he tries to talk about how, you can win one of the tokens as a prize. Yeah, but in so many of these games, the only thing you can win as a prize is, just for participating in something, is the lowest value of token.
The lowest value, and it's capped out, and you can only get so much in a day, and it's also very minimal, so you have to keep logging in every single day. So the monthly user metric is really, really high because all the people that can't afford to play your game, they're gonna have to log in every day to get their free currency in order to play. And they expire, yes, and in some games, they fucking go away. It's
but then
so bad.
You can only buy some tokens in massive bundles. Bundles that don't match the price of the product you're trying to buy. None of which is a good consumer experience, as much as this just web of absolute goddamn insanity does make these companies a hell of a lot of money. And when he talks about wanting to make existing legislation stronger, well, yeah, Supercell would know all that they need to know about that, because they've been accused of being non-compliant with UK loot box regulations. You know, clearly, self-regulation and current legislation are not working for everyone. That's why we need these changes in the first place. But it is also true that he does have a bit of a point. These bodies should probably have a talk with the industry reps to implement changes in a way that won't have unintended negative impacts. And we have seen many examples of that. As an example, GDPR, you having more control over your data, all that privacy stuff, that's pretty great. But it's really annoying having that pop up every time you go to a website and you got to install an extension to deal with the annoying thing. Yeah.
People aren't going to install the extension. They're going to complain to their, like, I don't know, on the forums and stuff. That's the other thing. If you create barriers between the customer and yourself, people will get annoyed because they don't understand why that's in there. And that creates a problem for the company itself, and the blame gets put on them, and then people get really mad at them, and they're like, well, we can't do anything about it.
Does kind of suck. I mean, I get the point, I agree with the principle, but the implementation clearly isn't really that great.
Yeah.
And where it risks getting worse is that today we've been talking about the concerns from big trade bodies and companies like Supercell. And here's the thing with those groups, they've got money. They can afford to be compliant with new laws, like, say, all the stuff that's been going on with the UK's Online Safety Act and similar laws around the world. The incumbents can fork up the cash to be compliant. They can do that. Hell, if the compliance is a real nightmare, then maybe you can be an entrepreneur and sell the solution.
Yeah, I don't know about
teams,
that.
The people
I'm not
who
smart
are
enough for
just on
that.
the cusp of being sustainable fiscally, well, they'll be hurt more. The worst case scenario is something that looks more like regulatory capture, that perhaps looks like the incumbents adapting.
There are many successful indie games that have 0 microtransactions. I don't think it's that much of a concern. If anything, I would honestly argue that a lot of indie games don't fucking even think about that kind of shit until they get sold out or bought out by massive companies. And then the IP is already gone. So, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say, like... Again, this is kind of like a weird angle that now that I think about it and say it out loud, it's like the only people that suffer from this are video game companies or companies that don't actually make a lot of good money off of their microtransactions, I guess.
To the regulation, but then the regulation being so onerous that new companies basically can't really get started up. That can be really bad. But to cut through all that fluff, something needs to happen. And the reason why is simple. A reckoning is coming, and we are very much on the clock.
The customer
the Digital Fairness Act is expected to be delivered in the next year or so. And what's happening right now is the ending of the consultation period for the virtual currency stuff. And clearly, after 12 weeks of consultation, well, these companies have been reacting in this way to make a point that they don't want the Digital Fairness Act.
What's worrying about this whole, like, discussing legislation and discussing potential, like, solutions for this? The thing that scares me is that all these boomers don't actually understand how these games work and how they're implemented. Like this guy, again, the CEO of Supercell, the guy that owns billions and billions of dollars and owns this company, tries to frame it like it's like innocent, and it's like, oh, it's gonna hurt the game, we're gonna have to change the fundamental mechanics. But gamers like us understand that it doesn't really change anything, it just means less money for their pocket. So all these, like, boomers in EU legislation don't get that, and I'm a little bit worried that they're not gonna get it.
legislators to treat them the way that the CPC
they're not like immersed in gaming like we are.
With all of that Swedish horse girl stuff. They basically want a chance to make sure that their voices are heard. And you know what? That is their right. They are literally entities contributing to the economy within the EU. So yeah, they should have a seat at that table. I want them to be listened to and respected, but also treated with the skepticism that is due, because they are very much not unbiased here.
Oh yeah.
And just as these companies need to turn a profit, they also need to do so in a way that is not predatory toward the public. And
Riot also recently changed their pricing on their fucking digital currency too. God, man.
Ultimately, it's that last bit that's where I land. You can see enough horror stories of this stuff going bad, or even just the simple, basic goddamn thing. You look at your phone, there's a social media app that's just trying to play around with your brain chemistry to get you hooked.
Yeah!
You open a video game, and now it's doing the same thing. There's all this predatory bullshit everywhere. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. And the profit of these businesses is, yes, relevant to them, the shareholders. But it's also not goddamn sacred. And the whole point of governments and bodies like these is that we can be represented, and in some way, we have some buy-in to the rules of the game that everyone should be able to play fairly, which is a bit of a stupidly optimistic, lofty-ass goal. But in this case, you know what? If they make less money because they're not allowed to be as manipulative, and people lose their jobs because of that, that's okay.
People are already losing their jobs for not actually having jobs that create video games, and they're just paper pushers or people who create monetization for video games. Like, I understand you gotta get that bread, but like at the same time, have some dignity. I don't think I could openly tell people like, yeah, I make up prices for digital currency in a video game. I'd like keep that a secret if I was them. I would put that on my resume.
Employment's not the only fucking goal. There's other stuff going on. There are negative externalities. That's another thing to consider. Yes, you could just deregulate gambling to the tits and then tax it and say, look at our number go up. But then you can also think about the negative externalities on society that are a result of sad gambling bollocks. And don't worry, you guys in the US are heading in the direction that the United Kingdom has been in for a long ass time regarding the old online sports betting. Anyway, I think you guys see the point. Yes, these guys should be listened to, etc., etc. But you know what? We should have some say in the goddamn rules, and people have had enough. I know this wasn't the most light and breezy video in the world, so palate cleanse yourself. Watching this one next.
Chat, it's gonna happen. I don't know. Overwatch 2 had to be made because of legislation from the EU. There's hope. I'm not super confident. Again, there's a lot of boomers in Parliament, even in the EU. There's a lot of people that don't understand how video games work or how microtransactions work. But I have some faith. You never know. Go check out Baldur. I've been watching Baldur for a really long time, back when I play WoW and stuff. Like, here's the clip. Diablo Immortal is not pay to win. Look at this egghead looking ass. Chat, brace yourself. 800% extra value in Diablo Immortal, the mobile game.
This is 800% extra value?
No way!
I'd be losing money if I didn't buy this.
Yeah, you fucking retard!
Give me a second, guys. We gotta figure this out. What have I spent money on? So, the reason why I spent money is, like, basically, there was a bonus in the game.
Whoa!
And it said if I didn't spend the money, I would be losing 800%. By spending $1, I effectively saved $8.
Wow!
Is this a sponsored stream?
Damn!
No, it's the opposite. I'm paying them. Yeah, I'm sponsoring Blizzard. It's kind of a sad position to be in, but that's my life.
I paid them to play the game. That's right. He's so smart. Wow, Baldy's so smart. I wonder if his head is gonna get any bigger. Yep. You get 1,000% value by not spending anything? No, the game said it's 800% value. If I don't buy it, I'm an idiot. Imagine they do that for, like, I don't know, breathing air. It's like if you don't take a breath, you don't get 8,000% value. And then you just have people that stop breathing. Just pass out and